You can see here that I've modeled a huge, great big rectangular prism to put my gear system on. It's like it's being put on a tabletop, and I've made mine a nice glossy blue plastic so that you can actually see a nice contrast between it and the model that I'm trying to look at. So I'm going to look at my ability to render now. So I'm going to change to render up here, and you'll see that it changes this screen to render here. I'm going to try not to select anything, just close this off right now, and instead I'm going to zoom in, just get a nice angle that I'm happy with by playing around with these particular settings. And you can see there that I think I'm pretty happy with that particular angle that I'm looking at there. There's a few things you can change here. For example, if you're not happy with your material, you can actually bring up the appearance menu in here and change the appearances like so, exactly the same way that you did it in the model. I'm also going to look at the setup here. The scene settings is important. A few other things in here, you can change the brightness. I often find that the default setting of 1000 lux is a little bit dull, so I like to change it to maybe 1500. And if you go too bright, it washes it out. So if I go to 3000 or 4000, it washes it out a bit. So maybe 1500. You can play around with whatever you're happy with. The position, if you click on this little button here, brings up this little extra menu down here, and it changes the position or location of your lamp that's actually providing most of the light. And I like to make it so that that big white beam there is not in my scene. And I'll play around with it until I'm really sort of happy with that location of that. I think I like it best there. So you can see that I've got that in place. I can also do things like change the mapping of the textures. If I'm not happy with the location of the textures, I can change that. And to do that, for example, let's just say I want to click on that particular texture there. And you can change the appearance using that menu there. You can also do things like add decals, and some people have done that. For example, you can put your name on it or a logo on it. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you should be able to figure that out. To test it to see if you're happy with the actual what the render is going to look like, the quick way to do this is to press in canvas render, and eventually over time you'll see it start to take effect. Now, I don't like to do it this way as a formal render because it does take a really long time and it doesn't get as good a result. But I can see now that I'm pretty happy with what I'm going to get in the end. It's a bit grainy at the moment. It will take probably around about 4 to 5 minutes just to get up to an excellent, and it will get to final if you click and drag on this little line here to drag it all the way to final, like so. Problem is every time I move it now, it's going to actually start that render process off again, and I'll demonstrate that to you. Here we go, I moved it, and there it goes, it starts off again. So I don't like that at all. So I'm going to stop the in-canvas render. Once I'm happy with what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the actual render button here. And the render button is going to render it on or in the cloud. That's going to use somebody else's computer to render it for me. It's going to get it to final render, and it's going to be all those sizes. I don't need to change anything really. I'm just going to hit render. What's going to happen is down here, we will find that we've got our render appearing. The render will appear down here. It can take up to 20 minutes, and even when it's really busy, it can take up to an hour. But basically, you can have as many renders sitting here waiting to go as possible. So I'm going to look for a different angle now. Start with this as my base. Play around with that different angle so I can get, a good look at what I'm trying to achieve. Maybe that one there will be good. I want to change my setup again and change with this light angle now. Happy with that. Hit close and hit render on that as well. And when I come back after a bit of time, these two renders will appear for me to be able to access. So now my first one is actually finished. My second one will finish soon, I'd guess. But basically, I can actually click on that, and it will download this now from wherever it was rendered. And I can see that that is what I've asked for. If I now press the download button, I could download it as a PNG. And once I download it as a PNG, I can then take that and it will, I'm going to download it to my Gear Systems folder and hit save. I can then show that as an image. So there it is. It's quite a nice rendered image. I probably crop that in Photoshop so that it's a little bit more a standard photo size. And then I can use that as an image that I can annotate and explain or show people what my intention is in my design. So I can use that to show my design intent